and to a boat and a kayak right away. There are underwater screenshots stuffed with sea life. And the city itself, just like in real life, is split by a channel. Beach on one side and the downtown inland on the other, exactly like the real thing. So we'll circle back to the water, but the water is certainly going to be a priority. And so I think the beach in itself is going to be more of a location that matters in this game versus GTA 5, for example. So now getting into density and the different neighborhoods. So you look around for just a quick second, you can tell this isn't just another street. You've got dirt bikes going through the intersection, obviously. You've got these massive murals covering nearly every support column of the highway. You've got Caribbean looking storefronts. You've got tons of graffiti and palm trees squeezed below the highway. It really does have its own culture and personality. And if you look at these, the graffiti on the columns, you'll notice they spell out Pearl. And I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And it's pretty clear that this is their take on Miami's Little Haiti. That's not confirmed, that's just me guessing, but it's clear that they're really putting care and attention into these distinct neighborhoods and giving them their own identities and cultures, which I think will help so much with making the world feel truly alive and like it exists beyond you just, doing your crimes. And that's something that I think will be a meaningful step up from GTA 5 and has me excited to see the rest of the neighborhoods. I mean, you also have this screenshot, which also appears to be from La Pearl. If you look at the man on the left's chest, it does look like it spells out P-E-R-L-E, which is obviously Pearl for La Pearl. And again, this is just another example of how these neighborhoods are going to have culture and identity. You've got the grills, the jewelry, the tattoos, the bandanas, the hairstyles. Nothing here feels like out of place. Like this all feels cohesive and that neighborhood. And that's the difference that this game's going to have from GTA 5. They're building these, cultures and identities and neighborhoods. And that's not to say GTA 5 didn't have neighborhoods, but they just look like they're going to be even more fleshed out and even more, like their own little hubs in this game versus how they felt in that game where it's just like one or two little streets and boom, that's your neighborhood, And so that's why I think the map size thing isn't a huge deal. Like, give me a city with distinct neighborhoods and vibes like this rather than, a huge, big, empty map. And I think Rockstar is going to nail that. Speaking of distinct neighborhoods, this one's already appearing to be my favorite. And this one's got lowriders, a donk on big chrome rims with a 23 in the window, art everywhere, warehouse walls. This appears to be Stockyard, which is going to be what appears to be the game's take on Wynwood, which is kind of the car culture art district part of real Miami. Rockstar showed a whole car meet here in the first trailer, and it looks like we have a lot new confirmed locations here from the pre-order information. So we have Electric Fang, which is the tattoo shop, and that's confirmed to be in Stockyard. And we also have a streetwear store called Stock 305, which is also confirmed in Stockyard. There's also a custom shop called Rideout Customs that turns regular cars into lowriders. Full interiors, lifted stands, all of that. And this one's confirmed to be in Vice City. And if I had to bet, it's going to be right here. The logic's simple. This is the art and car district, with that exact kind of aesthetic. So it'd be a little weird not to put the lowrider shop anywhere but here, especially when you factor in the previously mentioned gameplay image that showed all the lowriders in an arty looking district. But that's just my guess. That's not anything confirmed from Rockstar. And I'll just be honest, I love customizing cars in these games. It's one of my favorite things to do in the GTA games. So if you have a whole district in the game that's going to be built around car culture and art and shops clustered all together, that's where I'm going to live. Whether it's in single player or online, this is going to be the spot for me. I really hope that the game, has more depth to the single player businesses as well, and we can actually build an empire, and we have even more stores itself we can walk into. Because, for GTA 5, as massive as it was, it did kind of come up short there. There really wasn't that many interiors and stores you could really go into. Red Dead 2 was a little bit better. Obviously, it's a little different because it's not, a whole downtown city. It's $18.99, so it's a little different, but I hope that we see more of that in GTA 6 and more integral buildings and stores. So yeah, but overall, I mean, this district looks sick. I love the aesthetic, and it's somewhere I expect to be a lot. Speaking of Stockyard, I did want to go into the specifics on this specific store called Electric Fang Tattoo. So this is the actual description on the Ultimate Edition that confirmed to us the neighborhood name of Stockyard. So on this tattoo shop itself, it's called Electric Fang. It's got 50-something designs, and it's all done by a real-world art collective. And it's the little touches and things like that is what makes Rockstar such a good developer, and why GTA 6 is going to have such an alive feeling, immersive world. Obviously, they probably could have done that way easier than getting 50 real designs, but stuff like that is what really makes it feel that much more real. But this is what actually gave us the name Stockyard of this neighborhood. Then you had Stock 305, the streetwear shop as well. And this was just on a pre-order page on the Ultimate Edition information, right? And so there's a lot of players that wouldn't even read this and wouldn't even know. But if you do read this stuff, you kind of can start mapping and visualizing the world in your head. You kind of see all these descriptions, you understand where the gangs are, where the car culture is, what bay should you go to fish, you know, what's the activities we're doing. You kind of can get an idea of the map and kind of visualize it in your head just from reading these descriptions, and it's just cool to see. So let's take a step back for a second, because it's easy to lose the plot. Everything that I've shown you so far is the downtown. It's got its own arts complex, the beach, the Haitian Quarter, the car district we just talked about. All of that is just one city. This is all within the Vice City region itself. And remember, this is just one of 6 regions among the Leonida Keys, the Grassrivers, the Mount Kalaga, Port Gellhorn, and Ambrosia. That's 6 total regions. So, and this is just Vice City specifically. So when I say this game's gonna have density, like that's what I mean. This region alone has all these neighborhoods. So let's just let that sit in for a quick second. So here's the side of Vice City that the beat shots don't really show you. So there's this gang called the PTT Youngins, and their compounds in Southside Vice City, which, going off the name and the look, I believe this is more of the inner city, the actual inland, grittier city side away from the beach area. Rockstar describes them as one of the loudest, most socially active gangs in the city, and they're growing premium hydroponics in places they really shouldn't be. And there's a whole mission around them where you raid a compound, grab the contraband, get out. And that phrase, socially active, is really interesting. Like, why would they choose that phrasing specifically? And given that the game's marketing has leaned so heavily on social media and things like influencers, my theory is that this gang is socially active in social media. And I believe that you'll be able to go on social media and maybe find leads for robberies and leads for missions, right? A flashy gang posting their stash, or like a target flexing online. And that gives you radiant, like live active robberies that you can take that are, you know, nothing to do with the game. And just to be clear, that's complete speculation, zero confirmation at all on that. That is just me putting the pieces together a little bit. It would be a cool system, but again, just speculation. So moving on to the strip club called Jack of Hearts. And this is the strip club that's owned by Booby Ike. And Booby Ike's a character that we've been confirmed about and we know about. And he's kind of a perfect Vice City character. On the surface, he's a legit businessman, right? He's got the club, he's got a recording studio, he's, you know, running legit businesses. But underneath, he's a criminal, plain and simple. The business is the front. I do think that this strip club is going to serve as a hub for us, given how much Booby Ike has been emphasized as a character that we're going to interact with, and the Jack of Hearts location has been. I think it will be similar to how GTA 5 was, where you'll be showing up for missions here and working with the people here, and this will be a hub for us during the game. Whether that's early game or mid game, I'm not sure, but you're definitely going to work for Booby at some point, and this will serve as a hub. I'm sure on that. And that right there is kind of the whole Vice City fantasy, right? Like, it's got the neon lights on the surface, but then you got the illicit businesses running everything underneath. And Rockstar's clearly wiring those two worlds together so that it all interconnects and feels one and the same. And that's a really cool version that they're building. All right, so I told you we'd come back to the water, and I'm really convinced that water is a priority for Rockstar this time. So as I mentioned, GTA 5 nailed driving and it nailed the flying aspects. However, water kind of felt at sometimes like an afterthought. But in this game, it seems to be a real focus. So starting with the boat, the Shih Tzu Squallow. It's confirmed that it's docked at a place called Washington Beach, and it's also set up for fishing in a bay called Gambit Bay, and that's from their official descriptions from the Ultimate Edition. And you also have screenshots of Jason fishing as well. So that's 3 things right there that show us they have different bays for boats, they have fishing, you know, you're literally getting boats as part of the Ultimate Edition, as well as a kayak. So clearly water and traversal is clearly important for this game. Then you also have the port, which Rockstar straight up calls this port the cruise ship capital of the world, which is probably accurate to real life. And looking at the scale, you have the cranes, the cargo ship, the marina stuffed with boats. Like, that's a port with lots of boat activity. Water is everywhere in this game. So Jason, as we've talked about, starts in the Keys, which is the Florida Keys, basically a string of islands floating in the ocean. On top of that, the Grassrivers are swampland, half water, literally by definition. The city's cut in two by a channel. In the trailers and what we know about characters as well as screenshots, you can pretty clearly see that boat smuggling is going to be in the game via Brian Heder. We can see from some trailers his little boat yard or boat dock area kind of being used as like a smuggling front sort of thing, it looks like. And like I've said before, Rockstar's had driving and flying figured out, and water was the gap, and the fact that they're closing the gap there this time really shows that this game's going to have all 3 methods of traversal figured out. Whether it's fishing, smuggling, diving, or just cruising the bay at sunset, it's going to be a really cool part of the game. So we'll see. So all together, we've got the beach, we've got the downtown with the art scene, we've got you know, the Haitian neighborhood that's got the graffiti. We've got the car district that I want to move into already. We've got gangs and grow houses and the strip club that's hiding in criminal empire. Water literally everywhere you look. And that's just one of the 6 regions, not all of the 6 regions. And that's kind of why the size argument and the size thing isn't a big deal to me. I mean, bigger is great, but it's not, you know, the end goal. The end goal is having a dense, livable world that we can, you know, probably exist in regards to, you know, gaming for a decade or more, the same way GTA 5 was. So the more alive and dense it is, the better. And I think Rockstar is going to nail this. To understand the Keys as an area, we first need to understand the people that actually live out here, because the local demographic kind of tells you everything that you need to know. So this right here is Jason Duval. He's one of our 2 main protagonists. And in my opinion, this shot right here is one of the more perfect introductions to his whole character. He's completely passed out on the couch in the dead middle of the afternoon. He's got his beers, he's got his controller. He's living the dream, honestly. But there's a massive catch. Rockstar's official biography form is incredibly telling. It basically boils down to one single line. He wants a completely easy life, but things just keep getting harder. And I love that because it's so simple. He wasn't a guy that grew up in the high-rise luxury of Vice City. He grew up right there in the Keys, surrounded by local grifters, small-time crooks, and con artists. He actually did a brief stint in the army as well to try and shake off his troubled teenage years, but the second that he got out, he got pulled right back down to the Keys, doing the only real thing that he actually knows how to do, which is running contraband for local drug runners. And that right there is the entire Keys region in a nutshell. The postcard description that we mentioned earlier that tries to sell the place as his laid-back, easygoing tropical paradise, where the dress code is casual and the local bars are always packed, but underneath the surface, there's more going on. That exact tension between wanting a slow and easy life and constantly getting dragged into, you know, the dangerous, chaotic situations that he will, is the core of Jason's character, and it's a core design philosophy behind this region itself. And this is going to matter a lot for how the game opens up, so let's get into it. So let's start at home base. This is Jason's current home as we know it at the start of the game. The specific island that this house is sitting on is called Key Lento, and it's located right in Mariana County. If we look at the house itself, we can see it's built up on stilts to protect it from storm surges, obviously as it's on the beach. And we can see parked underneath it, and this is from the Ultimate Edition screenshots, there's an orange muscle car, a dirt bike, and a kayak. Here's the thing though, is that this technically is not Jason's house. It's actually owned by an older guy named Brian Heder, who we're definitely going to talk about in a second. And Jason is essentially just living there completely rent-free in exchange for doing his shakedowns. The rest of Key Lento looks exactly like this. It's pretty much a sprawl of modest, sun-faded waterfront homes where people have boat docks instead of traditional driveways. There are boats and docks absolutely everywhere, and the incredibly clear blue water is very present. It is the absolute polar opposite of the Vice City skyline. You know, the neon chaos, the massive skyscrapers, the traffic, everything like that. It's none of that. It's just hot, slow. It's an isolated island community where everyone knows everyone. And I'm telling you right now, the deliberate slowness is going to be the entire point of why we are starting in this region. All right, so let's talk about the dude who actually owns the house, Brian Heder. So this older dude right here is honestly already one of my favorite side characters that Rockstar has shown off so far. And the reason for that is because he's a classic, old school drug runner from what they call the golden age of smuggling out in the Keys. The massive shark tattoo that's on his arm isn't just a random thing either. It's a direct nod to his official character bio. Rockstar describes him as a guy who looks like a total lazy Leonida beach bum on the outside, but he moves like a patient great white shark when there's money on the line. He runs a local business called Brian's Boatworks and Marina, which he manages alongside his third wife, Lori. Brian has a quote that you can find on the GTA 6 website, where he's essentially bragging to Jason about the old days, claiming he used to haul so much weed through the islands back in the 80s that he could have made the entire state of Leonida straight up levitate. Like, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about his energy. He's kind of that legendary semi-retired smuggler who's pretty much stepped back from the highly dangerous hands-on part, and he's delegating it to Jason and using younger, capable guys like him to do his heavy lifting. And here is where the heavy lifting is actually happening. On paper, Brian's Boatworks looks like a pretty legitimate, slightly run-down boat repair shop. But obviously, it's probably going to be a front. We've already seen official footage of Jason loading crates of contraband onto the back of a seaplane at this exact marina under the cover of night. And that brings us to this guy right here, and this is the guy on lookout with the binoculars, which is Cal Hampton. According to Rockstar, Cal is Jason's incredibly paranoid conspiracy theorist buddy who essentially spends his entire day sitting on a couch at home, drinking beers, and intensely snooping on local Coast Guard radio frequencies. Now, for a small-time smuggling crew, that's actually a pretty valuable asset. A guy who's constantly listening to the Coast Guard encrypted comms is the guy who can tell you when a specific stretch of the water is going to be clear to make a midnight smuggling run. So it's not just going to be a funny, eccentric background character on the couch. That's a pretty built-in early game mission radar system that's right there for us in plain sight. It's the sort of organic world building that makes Rockstar World so exciting. Now that we have the characters out of the way, which were important to get through as they are probably going to be crucial to the early game of GTA 6, we can get onto these specific locations we know within the Keys itself. So let's start with this next location, which is the Rusty Anchor. So as we can see, it's a local dive bar that's located right in the heart of Key Linto, and its official slogan in-game is "Soak your troubles at the Rusty Anchor." It appears to be heavily modeled after a legendary real-world spot down in Key Largo called the Caribbean Club. The thing that absolutely blows my mind about this is how Rockstar is approaching the map. They didn't just build a super pretty exterior for you to drive past. The inside of the Rusty Anchor is fully enterable and incredibly detailed. The walls are completely covered in real-world looking license plates, and there's working TVs playing local news broadcasts, and they even have posters taped up for local indie bands that perform at their bar. We've even seen official media of Jason and Lucia just sitting out on the wooden back deck of the bar with a couple of beers, completely ignoring the crime lifestyle for a second to just watch the sunset. And that stuff like that really does make the world feel alive. And the entire island surrounding this bar is just constantly doing its own thing, completely independent of whether you, the player, are showing up to look at it or if you're not. You have a full-on gator-themed mini golf course down the road, you have the Wonder Whale gift shop selling ridiculous tropical trinkets, and you have wildlife completely integrated into the suburban traffic. And this is where that massive generational leap from Red Dead Redemption 2 is really going to show. Because instead of applying it to the rugged Wild West, they're now applying it to a sleepy, eccentric, modern-day Florida coastal town. The world isn't just sitting stagnant, waiting for you to walk up and trigger their animations and cutscenes. It feels like a genuinely alive, sweaty, lived-in Florida town. And I'll be real with you, that level of micro detail and density is something that's going to take this game from being just okay to being an amazing lived-in world the same way Red Dead Redemption 2 was. Let's take a quick step back for just a second, because after looking at all this detail, it could be easy to lose perspective on the scale of what we're dealing with here. Everything I've just spent the last minute showing you, from the characters, the stilt house, the smuggling aspects, the fully detailed bar, and everything like that, all of that is existing within one single region. One region out of the 6 that Rockstar has officially confirmed for us, which includes Vice City, the Leonida Keys, the Grassrivers, Mount Kalaga, Port Gellhorn, and Ambrosia. 6 massive, culturally distinct regions. So the fact that they built a localized area this deeply detailed tells us the scale of this game. This is probably going to be geographically one of the smaller regions of the entire map, so the scale is pretty insane. And that realization is going to lead directly into the biggest narrative theory that I wanted to present in this video. So after going through all the details that Rockstar has given us, I am personally pretty highly convinced that the Leonida Keys are exactly where the story of GTA 6 will actually begin for us. And I don't mean like a quick 5-minute tutorial mission thing where you rob a gas station and boom, you're in Vice City. I mean this will be a substantial chunk of gameplay to start the game, like the first few opening hours of the campaign. So let me stack up the actual evidence for why I think this makes sense. And like I said, I'll be clear about what's confirmed and what's just my personal read and speculation. So fact number 1 is that Jason lives here. His established backstory, his current employment, and his home base currently are all in the local smuggling ring that's completely rooted in the Keys. Fact number 2 is that in the footage from trailer 2, we see Jason driving out to pick Lucia up from the Leonida Penitentiary. And then we also see footage of Lucia and Jason together at his house in the Keys. So I'm thinking the game will start with you doing some early missions as Jason, eventually you're picking up Lucia, and start the early first bit of the game in the Keys together. So you have both main characters, your initial vehicles, your primary safe house, and your first major employer in-game in Brian. And you also have your built-in kind of buddy in Cal, all packed tightly into one calm, self-contained, isolated starting region. To me, that isn't a coincidence. I think that's pretty clear, this is going to be the opening act of the game. Now, the next part is just my personal theory, but I believe Rockstar is doing this entirely on purpose for pacing purposes. They want you to start somewhere that's smaller, open, relatively slow, so you can take your time learning the core mechanics of the game, whether it's, the revised driving physics or the new boating controls, the gunplay, how civilian AI reacts and is different in this game. Because I just think that if they just unleashed you into the absolute overwhelming chaos of Vice City to start the game, it would be overwhelming and just so much to start with. If you've played Red Dead Redemption 2, you know exactly what this looks like. If you remember the snowy mountain prologue in Chapter 1 in Coulter, it's a quiet, contained chapter designed to teach you how to exist in the world before they let you into the free open world itself. And my major hope here, and this is where I'd push back on Rockstar's past design choices in Red Dead Redemption 2, is that I want the keys to be a lot more open and sandbox friendly than what the Red Dead Snow chapter was. So I don't want to be stuck just in the camp or in, my house and only being able to do missions. I want it to be a little more open while still being contained to just the keys. Let me go rob a local convenience store, drive around, get in a boat, explore underwater. Ignore the main story and go fishing for 3 hours if I want to. Give me the freedom of a mini sandbox starting area, I think. Because here's the bold version of what I'm trying to convey, is that the keys don't exist to keep you away from Vice City, but they exist to make finally crossing that bridge and entering Vice City feel like a genuinely earned and awesome moment. And I think a lot of people are seriously underrating this island and the keys as just a, smaller starting zone where Jason lives, but this is literally going to, in my opinion, be the on-ramp for the entire game. And it will be kind of that calmer, sweatier, and more grounded take on Florida that will make you feel like Jason, and this is that easy life that they've mentioned in the marketing before you get into the chaos of Vice City. So if you remember how I mentioned early in the video that Rockstar said that the Leonida Keys is going to be a very beautiful area, but also a very dangerous area, well, this is where that kind of pays off, and it's in the water. So if we look at this underwater shot, you can see they have fully realized ecosystems down here, whether it's sea turtles or coral reefs or, eels or whatever type of tropical fish, right? Whatever type of thing it is, they've got full underwater, things going on. And they've been pretty clear that there's genuine danger in the water. Even GTA 5 had sea animals that could attack you, and Red Dead Redemption 2 had a really built out wildlife system with alligators and bears and things that could really attack you and kill you. So I'm expecting that this game will probably have more of the same. Now, obviously in Miami in modern day, which will be great. But yeah, up on the surface as well, the water's just as active. You have sandbar boat parties. What I'm expecting to be deep fishing mechanics that build upon Red Dead Redemption 2's fishing. And then you also have these massive bridges that are connecting all the islands that are clearly modeled after the real life bridges that connect the keys. And here's why this matters way beyond just this one region. If we're being completely honest, Rockstar has nailed land vehicles and driving physics and all of that, right? They also did a great job, at least in my opinion, with the aviation and flying mechanics in GTA 5. But and also in my opinion, GTA 5 water was clearly a weak spot. Driving on boats wasn't fun, and you really didn't have much reason to go in the water and engage with the beaches. But it feels like with us starting in the Keys, they've really built this entire region taking water mechanics completely seriously, whether it's, going to be how the boats handle or having boat smuggling mechanics or now the underwater environments. I think that the Keys are going to make water a focus and something that we'll see more of in this game, given how crucial it is to Miami and obviously Vice City in the game. So whether it's, navigating the narrow canals of the city or going through the swamps of the Grassrivers or running the smuggling operations in the open ocean, I think water will be important. So putting it all together, we've got a quiet stilt house that's sitting on a pretty slow island, a legendary retired smuggler that's running a sketchy boatyard, and a paranoid friend listening in on the Coast Guard. We also have the pop-in local dive bar, stunning coral reefs, and then just the slow, demographic and life that makes up this region. And I'm convinced that this is where our GTA 6 journey will kick off. The bright neon lights and skyscrapers of Vice City are always going to get 90% of our attention throughout the game anyway, and they deserve it, and the city looks amazing. But this grounded kind of, starting area will be the foundation for GTA 6 and makes the neon lights actually really feel like something once you get there. Understand the Grassrivers as a region, we got to strip away the guesswork and just look at the info that Rockstar has given us. They aren't treating this as transitional flyover territory or just the empty wilderness zone. In their own official breakdown of the state's regions, they explicitly refer to this region as the untamable jewel of Leonida's crown. So they're calling this big swamp wetland area the jewel. That's pretty strong wording for an area that appears to just be a swamp and wetland, right? Geographically, this area anchors the southwestern part of the map to the west of Vice City. It serves as a massive wild expanse that's the connective tissue between Vice City, the downtown skyscraper skyscrapers and neon of that, and the smaller county towns like Port Gellhorn or Ambrosia. I think one of the main things that this region will offer, though, is just the different pace that it offers. Compared to Vice City or even the smaller county towns or even the Leonida Keys, this will be a region that's unlike anywhere else on the map, with just miles of raw, unpaved nature. For example, you can go from the hyper-dense Vice City with supercars everywhere and neon lights to miles of raw nature where your standard sports car is